I'm Bobby J. Welcome back to the channel. This episode here, this episode is a long drawn out one. This started out in April and today is August 4th. I'm not new to farming, but I'm new to growing beans. I'm a 5th generation farmer. I've been growing rice for 20 years myself. My family's been doing it since the 50s. Like I said, 5th generation on growing rice. And I've been growing almonds now for about 11 years. So, beans. This is a totally new crop. Totally new crop. Never done. Not only is it'd be one thing to go plant walnuts or oats or barley or even peaches, orchards, grains. I know those beans are different. Beans fall in the row crop category. We're going to cover that in some of this video, but the main thing is I'm going to show you from, April, May, June, July, about 4 months. We're going to go through this and the process of me learning how to be a row cropper. It's been an interesting one. Here we go. So this is April. Step one here. We're going to try to get into the tillage work, and the very first implement to come in the field is this 32-foot field cultivator that we're using to break open the crust from all the rain over the winter, break the crust to the ground, and flip it over. The cultivator is easy to pull. It's light. If there's any wet ground, it'll go right through it. And flip that ground over, get it drying on the surface so we can bring in the discs. And also too, killing two birds with one stone, because this was an almond orchard before. There's a lot of hoses and different things, black hoses that were for the sprinklers that are out in the field. This is like kind of almost like a giant rake to grab some of that for us, and periodically we'd have to stop, back up, pull it all out of there, and get it all out. Next on the tillage list is bringing in the big stubble disc. Big 32-inch blades, 14-inch spacing. This disc is a kind of a monster. It really digs in and busts stuff open. There's a lot of hard pan chunks out in this field that have to be broke up. The stubble disc is the tool of choice. Step 3, time to rip. This would be towards the end of April, early May at this point, and we need to rip 2 feet, about 2 feet deep approximately. It's Murray 3-shank. Goes perfect behind my Cat Challenger. Well, as far as you can see, the width and everything, it's set up just about right. That is a slow process. That took 3.5 days of tractor work, 9 hours, 10 hours, about 35 hours of tractor work to get the ripping alone. But it's good to get that soil all tore up that hasn't been opened up in a long time, in 20 plus years. Now bringing in the big disc, the big old honking 28-foot Miller finish disc is what that would be. Now the ground has gotten dry pretty well. It's it's aerated. It's gotten dried well down deep. Now we come in and we break down that ripping marks and disc it down and get the ground smoothed out, and really kind of start to build a seed bed at this point with getting the ground really fine like you would want in a garden, like you're getting ready to go plant. So that's where we're at here, and then the next step is that we'll go into is going into the leveling. Got to get ground set up right. Just land planning away in the 9380. Oh, then we got the 9380, and he's disking away, trying to get these beans in. Day like 1,000 of spring plant. Ugh. Oh, it's been an interesting one. Non-stop. So, crop number 3. Made it through the almonds, got everything done. They start out, they're the first ones, spraying them, fertilizing them, pruning, all the things that need to be done in the almond orchard. A lot of that is done early on, I should say the bulk of it, not including irrigation or harvest. But we start out with that, and then from there we move into the rice. The rice, yep. That's a challenge all on its own. That's April, May into June, well into June. Still hammering away on rice. Trees are kind of just on cruise control right now with irrigation. Like I said, most of the bulk of the time-consuming stuff is done. And now, third time's a charm, as they say, the beans. We are on to the beans. Planting black-eyed beans for the first time. Got no idea how to do it? No, seriously, I got no idea how to do this, really. First time ever planting some beans. First time ever being a row crop farmer. You know, for the non-farmers, the non-agricultural people, you probably just think a farmer is a farmer. You farm and you farm, whatever that means, right? You grow things and you sell it and at market and everybody's happy. Well, you know, it's like doctors, all the different types of doctors and everything. You know, you don't go to a neurologist because you got a cough. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. A lot of us farmers, we specialize in certain types of farming practices, and within those practices, all the different crops that are within that. Like, for example, if you're an orchard farmer, you can do peaches, grapes. You got your fruits and you got your nuts, so you might just be an almond and walnut and pistachio, or just like me, just almonds, or you could be, like I said, citrus, peach, nectarine, all these different things, but you're an orchard farmer. Open field rice is its own thing altogether, but so I'm getting a crash course on how to be a row cropper, and with row crops you can do beans, tomatoes, corn. What the heck else is there a row crop? I don't know. Melons and squash, zucchini, that sort of stuff. So what we're doing right now is we are trying to hammer out, because of course, you know, we're not ahead of schedule. We're behind schedule. That's pretty much how it works 24/7 around here, because we got to work 24/7. But yeah, trying to get all this ground ready to go. This was in almonds a year ago. 1 year ago, there were old almond trees here. 80 acres, actually 105 acres of almonds coming out. They, over the course of last summer, they were pulled, they were ground up, chipped, and they are scattered amongst the ground in all the chips and mulch. And we have worked that in. We have deep ripped. We have stubble disked, and we have finished disked, and now we're on to the leveling portion of the program. Got to get this ground, got to get this ground nice and level. So that's what I'm doing. I'm the laser guy, I'm the specialty guy, and land leveling is definitely a specialty sport. So I got my laser up, we're going, we're moving some dirt, and we're gonna get this fall all set just right to be able to make that water flow correctly for the row crops and make this deal work. So right along with me, this is gonna be an interesting one as try to get set up with beans. I'm relying on a lot of people. That's one thing we don't rely on very much, help when it comes to our farming practices. On this deal, there's some specialty equipment that I do not have, and we got some guys that are supposed to be coming in to fill that gap on with their equipment. Let's hope all this works out. rice field. And my grandfather was the one that used to farm this a long time ago, and he since passed away. But then it was almond trees, and now we're taking these stair steps out and getting it ready for the beans. Come on, baby. Pull through. Yes. No. Yes, we are going to pull through. There we go. So, I got these humps in the field, and the laser is making me take these humps out because over here we got a highlight bouncing between. That means we're right about to grade. Well, we're getting in the dirt again. Come on, baby. We're spinning. See if we can see these stair steps. And there's a big one. Yeah, there we go. You can see the lines from the disc. Each one of these stair steps represented a check. See, down I go. Now I'm in the bottom. Each one represented a check at one time for rice, is what we call them. Because rice has to be flat, where a lot of other crops, it's not flat. You need fall. It was like 20 years ago when this was done the first time. It was a very minimal job. So now I'm taking it down a step further and getting this ground more with a steady slope from the high end all the way down to the low end. So I'm going to keep loading grabs, loading up scoops of dirt, and hauling it downhill. Now back on the disc again to make the final disking pass. Now that the ground is all level, the scraper has a tendency to kind of pack things down pretty hard, pretty tight. Now we want to disc it back up and get nice, fluffy, fine soil ready for the furrower to make our rows and get that done. And work our way towards actually getting the beans planted. Well, if I wasn't a row crop farmer before, I guess I am now. That's pretty cool. Look out. You can almost see down there a little hump in the field. This field here, we left this one as God made it. The fall and the lay of the land, you can kind of see there's a hump there, but this all falls down towards that house and off to the left. And then there's the tractor, got a hired gun going. We don't have the GPS and the furrower, the kind of equipment. You can see how dead accurate his rows are. He's probably got auto steer and the whole works. So easier to hire that done. Unfortunately, not cheap, but on the other hand, to get all that equipment's even less cheap. So now the next step in the game is actually getting set up for water. There was a pump station there, it was all set up for almonds. It was not set up in the slightest for row cropping. So now I got to work on getting an irrigation valve all built so we can actually access some water and get it moving in the right direction for row crop farming. Okay, well, I've got this all jigged up, you know, here in my fancy jig. There's only one thing left to do. Weld her up. So, fire up the welder. Now that I've got the water valve built, now the next step is getting some pruning and cleanup work done so that when we're actually in here irrigating, we've got a clean workspace and we've got room to work. And I tell you never realize how handy it is having your own mulcher until you've got one. All the time there's stuff to mulch and get out of the way. What a handy piece of equipment. And there it is, all installed. Coming out of here, this is where the suction side is. There's a pump here, but we're not using that. That was for the almond setup. This is the suction side being served by the district water. Coming in, we're shooting it that way and splitting it, going both directions there. And down the line, headed out into the beans. Getting our trench in to lay our poly pipe in. Got Junior going. So we can feed the furrows. Here comes the water. I cut it loose all the way at the top where that tree is at, my truck. We're all the way back down here. I've got a T-junction. You can see that that's filling up. You can even hear the water moving. Continuing on, and then you can see it's flat down there. I got to get to the end because we got to be a little careful we don't get a wave down at the bottom. I gotta go start punching some holes. Around it comes, and we've hit dead end here and we're starting to back up. I better start punching some holes here in just a second. Got a 50 cal. There we go. I had to finger it out just a little bit. Okay, yeah, I better start moving here. Done a lot of stuff on the farm. First time doing this. I don't know, I guess I'm doing this right. Trying not to let too much pressure build up. My barrel down there is, I got it tied in a knot at the end. Boy, it's holding on. I don't see any water coming out the very end. But yeah, I'm gonna keep punching holes here. And now it's June. We've got all the tillage work, leveling work, furrows built and everything, now it's time to pre-irrigate is what it's called. And you pre-irrigate, you want to get your ground completely irrigated, nice and saturated before you plant, because you want to plant the seed into a wet seed bed and then allow it to germinate in that moisture and chase the moisture with its roots downward. That is the proper way to do it. That's why you irrigate before you plant. And the irrigation took from start to end about 10 to 12 days. Then once we had the water off, it took about another 8 to 10 days for the ground to firm up enough where we could get out with the tractor and start applying the pre-emergent Lilliston and planting. Well, got the old gal going here. I'll tell you, for a 30-plus-year-old tractor, see, we're spraying right now, putting down a pre-emergent is what I'm doing. First step, then I gotta go get the Lilliston hooked up to this tractor and start Lilliston this ground. So, you know, for a 30-year-old tractor, this thing is not bad at all. It is pretty quiet in here and pretty comfortable. The ergonomics are pretty good. I'm holding my hydraulic remote from my spray pump. Then I get to the end, then I just let go. But yeah, not a bad tractor for the price that we paid. Man, these this Magnum, this is a pretty good tractor. I like it. I think this is our planter guy that just showed up. He's trying to get turned around because he's never been here before. And guess what he's got? A boxcar Magnum 2x4, no MFD. Yeah, that's got to be him. He's coming back over here, getting turned around. The entrance would be that way. All right, cool. We got the bean planter here. Okay, we got my tractor going with the Lillister, prepping the ground, prepping the furrows and the seed bed, working in the pre-emergent. And then, where are we at? There's our planter gentleman. He's going. First pass. We're planting beans, finally. Been working on this bean project for 2 months. Yeah, something like that. Started working some of the ground in here back in April. But there we go, we're finally getting seed in the ground. There we go. We're planting beans. Now these should start coming up out of the ground in 5 to 7 days, and we are at a major heat wave that might be even faster. Might even be faster than that. We'll see what happens here. It's going to be 110 today, but I think there's enough moisture to get these, surprisingly enough, I believe there's enough moisture to get these sprouted. I sure hope so. Been working on getting this irrigated for 2 weeks. Cummins over there, and a Cummins in good company. Okay, let me give you a quick rundown of how this has all worked. So, how this started out was working ground with the big tractors. We came in, we chisel plowed it, then we cultivated it. Part of that was trying to just simply use the cultivator as a big rake to pull all the black hoses out from when the trees were here. Then we moved on to stubble disc it, finish disc it, rip it, disc it again, laser scraping it. That took a while. Disc it again. Yeah, that pretty much then covers most all the tillage work. And then pull the furrows, pre-irrigate, which is a pre-irrigation is you irrigate before you plant because you actually need to get the moisture into the ground so that you have moisture to sprout the seed. And you can't just plant and then turn the water on and let the seed soak up the water at that point, because what happens is what water does to dirt, depending on the soil conditions you're in, but you can actually take and crust over the ground is what it's kind of called. The ground gets hard. You know, you ever walked on what used to be mud and then it's like rock hard? Yeah, seeds won't come up through that. So that's why you irrigate, get the ground wet down deep and the dirt's completely wet everywhere except for the very surface. It does get hard. That's where the Lilliston comes in. But after the pre-irrigation and the ground is hard enough, then we spray on the pre-emergent. Get that on the ground. That will take care of any new weeds from being able to germinate in the future while the beans are growing. Then you move on to the Lilliston. The Lilliston does multiple things. It breaks that crust all loose and makes the soil soft again. It takes care of all the current weeds that have germinated during pre-irrigation. And last is it puts the pre-emergent into the soil, which is what we need. So then, getting close towards the end is the seeder. And there it is. I like his choice of tractor, a 7110 next to my 7110. I like it. 6-row seeder. And there's the bean seed, black-eyed beans right there. There they are. And they're aqua colored because they have a coating on them that helps to protect them from fungus. That's what that's for. Otherwise they would be white and black. So there we go. There's a rundown on this process. And I'm sure I've missed a lot of small things. You know, all the hours that it takes to do each and every one of those steps. But right now, I got to load the sprayer. I got to keep putting out pre-emergent, get that done, and get this deal done. Now, I will say, after the planting, then the next step is we actually wait. Once they're finally planted, there's enough moisture in the ground, they get sprouted. They're going to emerge about 5 days later. We don't have to irrigate for around 25 days. So there will be a slight reprieve finally to kind of take a break from the beans and move on to the other things. We've got whole split spray in the almonds. We've got rice spraying going on right now that's starting to really start. So it would be nice to get some of this stuff done. But once the 25 days are up and it's basically time to water, we'll come in, we'll cultivate down the rows in between the beans and apply fertilizer and then apply water. And from there, I believe it's a home run towards harvest. Just irrigate about 5 irrigations, bring you into the fall time to a mature crop of beans. And this guy here that's got the planter, he's also got the harvester, and he's going to take care he'll take care of the harvesting for us, because like I said, this is our first year ever farming beans, and it's been an interesting process. On top, this isn't just what we're doing. You know, we still have all of our rice that we have all of our trees. None of that, in fact, the trees, if you follow this channel, you've known what was going on a few months ago, and all the trees with all the cleanup and the replants and all that. It has been a busy year. So I gotta get to it and get in this tractor. Alright, got settled into the big case. Got the little cases going. Where are they at? They're way over there. Little cases, the 7110s. But yeah, got the big boy here. Disking in some of these furrows. Had a little bit, should have surveyed some of this ground first, but we have a little section here, only a couple acres, but there was a couple of lumps in the field. It's all downhill from in front of me back the other way. It is all downhill. The problem is, like I said, there was a couple of waves in the field, just big enough, and it caused the water to, instead of travel downward with the rows, actually decided to go over the rows and that way. So not gonna work. We'll have to leave a few rows out, but out of a 100-acre field, it's only a couple acres. It could have been worse. So got what we call the baby miller. This is the little disc, 22-footer. Big one, it's at another field, and this one was here. So I'm gonna disc these in, stop any weed germination. Don't need a field full of weeds, and plan for next year with this right here, this little section. But yeah, got the two little cases. We're going, and I got beans on both sides of me. Lush green rows of beans. Green, no, actually not green beans, black-eyed beans. Not bad, huh, for a newbie. Definitely say I was a virgin at it. So, hey, we're knocking her out here. We're getting some bean plants growing. Now the question is if we can make beans. Now, the trick is, supposedly, are you all right? Are you coming? Yeah? You gonna make it, girlfriend?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the trick is getting them dry enough before you irrigate that you scare them a little bit. You make them think they're gonna die, they're gonna run out of water, and they're gonna die. Because that makes the bean plant go into reproductive mode. It makes it start making flowers, which then will turn into beans. Otherwise, if it thinks, hey, I got plenty of water, I got fertilizer, it's sunny outside, life is good, it's gonna do nothing but grow vines, greenery, tons of greenery. We're not growing bean plants, we're growing beans, because that's what you eat. So you scare them a little bit, you make them think they're gonna die, and they start making beans for you. That's what they say anyway. So, not bad. It's about 8:30 this evening. Nice calm breeze out here. It's pretty peaceful, actually, I have to say, watching all this water flow. But the hard part's over, I think. Just irrigate 4 or 5 more times. Start harvesting sometime in October. There we go. Thanks for watching. This is definitely a piece together of all these sections of, like I said, the last 4 months. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you maybe learned something. I know I sure did. So hey, if you like, hit the subscribe, hit the like button, maybe make a comment, tell me what I've done wrong, tell me what I've done right. We'll see you on the next one.